So what are the cloud deployment models? There are three models. One is public cloud, a second one is private cloud, third one is hybrid cloud. Let's talk about public cloud. So in public cloud, you have no local hardware to manage or keep up to date. Everything runs on your cloud provider's hardware. What public cloud means in an apartments, right? Let me give you guys example. In apartment, it has a complete building, and when you sign on lease, right? Because you have your own apartment, and also there are other people who shares a space with you because they have other plant, they have other apartment in the same building. So you have multiple tenants in the same building, but you have your own apartment, right? So that is a public cloud. It's a multi-tenant system because you are sharing the building with someone else. So, and you still have your own plant, but you still, like, you have other tenants who stays in that building. Okay? That is a good example for public cloud. Okay, advantages. So high scalability, agility. You don't have to buy a new server in order to scale. Like I said, if you see any traffic, right? Earlier I gave you one example. So based on the demand, it will automatically add servers, and you don't have to worry about the storage. And then other advantage, pay as you go pricing. You pay only for what you use, no capital expenditure cost. I said previous slides. So you are just paying if you consume at 20 GB per month, then you are paying only for that 20 GB. Even though if you are accessing the server, you don't have to pay over like on premises. If you buy 50 terabyte server, but you have to pay for entire server and then storage. But here you don't have to pay. You just pay what you are using, and you are not responsible for maintenance or updates of the hardware. Who takes care of all these? Cloud providers. They take care of maintenance or updates of the hardware, and minimal technical knowledge to set up and use, because they are taking care of all the maintenance and updates. So you don't need a lot of technical knowledge to set up all those servers. And then disadvantage here, because you are sharing with, it's a multi-tenant system, you are sharing the server with someone else. Okay, and there may be government policies, industry standards, or legal requirements which public clouds cannot meet. So every cloud provider, Azure has a policy documents, so where you can read all those. So, and those public clouds cannot meet, but they offer different services, Azure. So you can pick those. We will go over this, okay, in the next sessions. And you don't own the hardware or services, cannot manage them as you may want to, because you don't own the hardware. You are just consuming these resources, and you are sharing with someone else. So that's okay. And then this is first model, public cloud. And let's go to next deployment model, private cloud. I said three deployment models, right? Public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud. We just discussed about public cloud. Let's go to private cloud. In a private cloud, you create a cloud environment in your own data center and provide self-service access to compute resources to users in your organization. So private cloud means you have a dedicated server on your own data center. So you have a dedicated server, and you provide self-service access to users in your organization. So let me give you the example. When you are in apartment, right? When you are staying in apartment and you have other tenants also shares same building, and we call that as a public cloud. But when you are staying at your own, a single home, so what is the difference? When you're staying at single home and you have your own home, so you own that property and you can maintain, you can take care of all that maintenance, but you still have some responsibilities, but you have your own house. So you have privacy and you can secure that building on your own. When you're sharing with, when you staying in apartment, the management company takes care of all that. But when you're staying in your own home, you have to take care of it. That's the same thing, private cloud. You have a dedicated server, and then you have to provide all these, you have to provide access to all your users in your organization. Advantage, you can ensure the configuration can support any scenario or legacy application. Because you own the server, you have a dedicated server, then you can ensure the configuration and you can support any scenarios. And you have total control over security. The cloud provides a lot of options. Then it's your own choice. Then how you want to secure that servers, the dedicated servers. Okay, and private clouds can meet strict security and compliance or legal requirement according to your organization, and then you can maintain the security and compliance and then all those legal requirements. Okay, and disadvantage, because you are owning the server on your on-premises, so there is some initial capital expenditure cost because you have to maintain that server. Then you have to establish some space, right, where you can host all these servers, a building, and must purchase the hardware for startup and maintenance. And owning the equipment limits the agility to scale. You must buy, install, and set up new hardware. When you do it in public cloud, the provider takes care of all those. But here, you own the server, you're running out of space, then you have to do on your own to add the space and add the other server to even the users traffic, whoever accessing web applications or data servers, database servers, anything. Okay, and private clouds require IT skills and expertise. That's hard to come by, means you need some IT people, admins, architects, and developers. You need all those who can set up these servers and who can configure, who can apply all the security. So that's what here it means. You need IT skills and little expensive. That's the operational expenditure. Okay, and then hybrid cloud. Let's go to a last deployment, a model, hybrid cloud. Okay, let's go to hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud is combines public and private clouds. Well, let me tell you simple. If you're staying in townhome, you still have your own building, not too many people, but you still have other people, but you still have to follow some HOA rules, right? If you are townhome, and the same thing, because let me give you another example. If you want to host a web application, if you want to keep a database servers on your on-premises and you want to host a web application in the cloud, so that means hybrid cloud, because you still keep your database servers in your on-premises and you want to host a web application in the cloud. That's the hybrid cloud, because you have a customers, users who can access that web applications are global, all over the world. So now you decided you want to keep a database servers in your on-premises and you want to host a web application in the cloud. So that is a good example for hybrid cloud. Advantages: you can keep any systems running and accessible that use out-of-date hardware or an out-of-date operating system. So you can keep a legacy applications or anything, because it's your own. Whatever application you want to move to cloud and whatever you want to keep on premises, it's your own choice. You have flexibility with what you run locally versus in the cloud. Like I said, so you have a flexibility. You can pick, like, whichever service you want to keep it in the cloud, and whichever you want to keep it in your on premises. So these are all because, and also you're taking advantage on the cloud. When you host a web application on the cloud, and then you can create in any region. Azure offers 56 regions, and then you can host your web application in Asia, or you can host it in South America, or you can host it in Europe. Okay. And disadvantage, it can be more expensive than selecting one deployment model, since it involves some capital expenditure cost upfront. That's it. So when you are maintaining hardware, you have to pay some capital expenditure, because you are owning a server, you're keeping server on your on premises, and it can be more complicated to set up and manage, because you're keeping database servers here, and then you're hosting a web application in the cloud. Then you have to make sure secure connections, and then make sure they connect each other, and then no latency issues and all those. Okay, so let's move to our next slide. So do you guys have any questions? So far we discussed about what is cloud computing and who are the cloud service providers. What are the advantages of cloud computing? What are the deployment models? Okay, so now let's go to types of cloud services. There are 3 types. Okay, excuse me. There are 3 types. We call IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. IaaS means infrastructure as a service. PaaS means platform as a service. SaaS means a software as a service. Okay, so let's discuss about infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service is the most flexible category of cloud services. It aims to give you complete control over the hardware that runs your application. So when I say infrastructure as a service, that means you have complete control on your server. If you want to create a virtual machine, then you can create on your own, and then you can pick the operating system whatever you want. If you want a Windows, you can choose it. If you want a Linux, you can choose it. If you want Ubuntu, you can always select on your own. And storage also, you can pick it based on the CPU size. If you want a high CPU, then you can pick it. If you want a high standard, high definition disk, everything, you can pick it. Okay, that's infrastructure as a service. And IaaS is commonly used in the following scenarios: migrating workloads, test and development, storage, backup, and recovery. When I say test and development, when you create a virtual machines means a physical server. When you create a physical server for the development, and after 2 months, you are done with the development and you don't need that server anymore, and then you can just delete it because you don't need it. After testing also, you can delete it. So you can migrate the workload, and also you can take the backup. Okay, so if you want to take your database backup, you can do that. And also recovery, you can do that, because whenever you want to restore it, you can do that. Okay, let's move to platform as a service. PaaS provides an environment for building, testing, and deploying software applications. So here you don't own the hardware. you cannot pick your operating system. But if you have your code available, and if you want to host a web application, you can pick this platform as a service. You have a code available using app service, you can just apply your code, and then cloud providers, they take care of it, underlying hardware, and then you can host your web application, and you don't have to worry what operating systems you have to pick, and you don't have to worry about the software updates, patch updates, and also security. You don't have to worry about it. The cloud takes care of it. And PaaS is commonly used in the following scenarios: a development framework, analytics, or business intelligence. Okay, let's go to software as a service. Software as a service means Outlook, Office 365, Skype, and Dynamics. You are just using their software, the Microsoft products, and you don't worry about anything else, like how this software runs. When they have some update available, and you don't have to worry about it, they take care of those updates and maintenance. You're just consuming their their service, so you pay monthly or annually. So Office 365, and you pay annually $70 per year, and Skype maybe monthly or annually, so you just it's a subscription based. Okay, that's a good example for SaaS. Okay, do you guys have any question? And cost and ownership. So here you can see the difference. So after 1 second. Okay, so cost and ownership in IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Okay, so there are no upfront costs. Users pay only what they consume. So here same thing, PaaS also same thing, you just pay what you consume. But SaaS is different, because you have to pay for the subscription. So as I said, it's either monthly or annually. So in IaaS, you have more responsibilities. When you go to PaaS, you have a less responsibilities compared to IaaS. And SaaS, you don't have any responsibilities. If you remember, so I said infrastructure as a service, you can pick your location, and you can pick your operating system, and you can pick your disk storage size, and you can pick everything, because you own that server, you own that service, you own the server. Examples: virtual machines and database servers. Okay, and PaaS, you don't have to worry about underlying hardware, and you don't have to worry about operating system. You're just deploying your code, and then the cloud providers take care of hosting your web application. Okay, let's go to next one. So here the management responsibilities. So you still have some management responsibilities when you are using the cloud services. So IaaS requires more user management of cloud services. So compared to PaaS and SaaS, you have more responsibilities, because you own that server. You have complete control over the underlying hardware. So user is responsible for managing the operating systems, data, and applications. And then PaaS requires a less user management, because you're just deploying your code, and then cloud provider takes care of how to host your web application. He picks the operating system, so you don't have to worry about underlying hardware. SaaS requires the least amount of management. Cloud provider is responsible for managing everything, and the end user just uses the software. You're just paying the subscription. Okay, so let's move to the next one. Okay, so here are the management responsible. So these are all the on-premises service applications, we have to take care of our own data, runtime, middleware, OS, virtual server storage. We have to take care of all this. But when you pick these IaaS in the cloud, so you don't have to worry about these four: virtualization, servers, storage, networking. Cloud providers takes care of it. And then you still have to take care of these applications data. And platform as service, you don't have to, you just deploy your code, and then everything else cloud provider takes care of it. And software as a service, you don't have to worry, you just use their software. Office Outlook, Office 365, Skype are the examples. Okay, let's go to next one. So now we have a knowledge check option here. Okay, so we have 3 questions. Okay, so you guys just answer it on the chat. So first one, which term from the list below would be viewed as benefits of using cloud services? Okay, so unpredictable cost, elasticity, local reach only. Okay, so
elasticity.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, so just post it on the chat. Okay, so I will, let me check it. Okay, let's go to the knowledge check. Okay, so could you guys go on mute, please? Okay. Okay, so unpredictable cost. So here the advantage, earlier I said, pay as you go model. So unpredictable, it doesn't apply, because you know you are consuming only 5 GB, and then you know you have to pay only for 5 GB. So they don't charge for 100 GB because you are consuming only 5 GB, and the cloud main benefit is cost effective, pay as you go model. So unpredictable cost is not the right answer. Okay, let's say elasticity. So when you have users who is accessing your web applications, so they don't see any latency issues because you have a load balancer that distributes the traffic accordingly, and the scale sets will add the instances based on the demand. So elasticity is the right one, but let's go to next option, local reach only. Cloud services, they have data centers all over the world. Azure has 56 regions. So local reach only is a wrong option. Okay, so the right answer, elasticity. Okay, the right answer, elasticity. Okay, let's go to second one. Suppose you have 2 types of applications: a legacy applications that require a specialized mainframe hardware, and newer applications that can run on commodity hardware. So which cloud deployment model would be best for you? So let's go to this option, public cloud. Public cloud means you can't maintain. So we have answers here. I think let's check the answers. Okay. Hybrid cloud, that's the right answer. Okay, so that is the right answer. Okay. So public cloud means everything you are hosting in public cloud, so you cannot maintain legacy application. And private cloud, so everything you have a dedicated server. Hybrid cloud is the right option, where you can maintain your application and then you can maintain some in the cloud. Okay, so you can maintain database in the on your on-premises, and you can maintain web applications. That was the example I gave you guys. Same thing here. So hybrid cloud is the right answer. And the third one, you are developing an application and want to focus on building and testing and deploying, and you don't want to worry about managing the underlying hardware or software. So here it's a, you don't have to worry about underlying hardware or software, but you still want to build and deploy your code. So you know that, I think someone answered, that's the right answer. Platform as a service, right? Pass. Infrastructure, you still have to take care, you still have some management responsibilities. You have to pick your operating systems, your applications, data. You have to take care of all the security. That's not the right answer here for this question. Platform as a service, you can just deploy it. You don't have to worry underlining hardware or software. And software as a service, you cannot deploy your code. So that's the wrong answer. So here is the right option, as platform as a service. Okay. All right, guys. Do you guys have any questions? You can ping in the chat. Okay, I think we are done with this first session. So if you guys have any questions, just ping in the chat. Okay. So let me. Okay, let's move to our next module.